Hello, welcome to YouTube, something new, because obviously Periscope is finishing at the end of this month, and I thought I'd give YouTube a try just to see how we go, because I can use my computer, I can use my webcam, I can use my microphone, so hopefully the quality will be a little bit better as well. But essentially it's the same as the Periscope. You've got a live chat, so you can leave any questions or comments in the live chat, and I'll see those. The questions have been sent in as usual, and also send them in on Twitter as well. I can keep an eye on that. But I would really appreciate if you're watching this now, please share it, and let's get as many people in here as possible, because quite a few will probably not know that we moved over to YouTube. Let me know that you're here by popping something in the chat as well, and it's great as usual to have your company on YouTube instead of Periscope. So thanks for coming along and joining me on here. Yeah, no Chris Gadsby and no scoreboard for him to struggle with. Bless him. We'll be back on that on Saturday. If you're not watching, so if you are watching, Nottingham Lions live at 4 p.m. on Saturday, live stream against the Widnes Wild, final game of the North Cup. Sorry, Sunday 4 p.m. Me and Chris will be live from the NIC with that, so I hope you can join along for that. Just get some retweets out of this live chat. Okay, that's out of the way. Get my information up so I can refer to it. So hope you're all well. Like I say, questions in the chat box. So if you've got any hockey-related questions, please do pop them in there and we can discuss them. Obviously, a lot of the questions do relate to the Elite League streaming series, because obviously the prices were announced today for the streams, for all the packages. So what do you think of that? You know, what do you think of the prices? What do you think of what the Elite League have released? Personally, I think the packages are good. I'm not so sure on the individual prices, I've got to be honest, but we shall see. We shall see how it goes. But the first question does come from Mark Whale, who is a Steelers fan. He says, how much do you think the playoffs will be for the streaming series, despite the league saying this is the final details for the streaming series? Yeah, because the packages just relate to essentially the regular season games, so the 24 round robin games, which suggests to me that they may be looking at something like Free Sports or Premier Sports in order to try and get them live on there for the semi-finals and final. That is what I would assume from that anyway. If not, I'd be disappointed if the semi and final streaming prices aren't the same as what the round robin prices are. What's that? £13 a game takes that to such a degree that someone at the IHL Towers needs to refer to a urologist. I've got to say, I think £13 is too much for a single stream. I think £10 would have been fairer, if I'm perfectly honest. However, you know, what companies do film? Vision Mix are doing the filming, so they're the same people who do Sheffield Stream. Sheffield Stream is generally regarded quality-wise as one of the best, if not the best, in the Elite League. So I don't think there's any doubt that the quality will be excellent. They've said it's going to be an 8-camera setup. So that for me is above and beyond, because that's going to be almost, well, it is a TV setup, 8 cameras. So I would think it'd be wide, tight, 2 corners, 2 behinds, a roaming, and possibly an offside or reverse camera. But 8 cameras is a big setup. So that is very, very good. So the quality, I'm sure, will be absolutely superb. But £13 a game is for me a little too much for a single game. I think the package prices, so for example, I think the £149 24 game package is excellent, especially for someone like me, with my wife who's a Steelers fan, me who's a Panthers fan. So we can get all the games for £149, and there's only 4 that don't involve either of our 2 clubs. So I think value-wise, that is by far the best in our situation. But I think it's good that they have done packages. I'm glad they haven't gone with a just a price per game package where you'd have to pay for every game. So on that basis, I think they've done well. I do think though that £13 a game is too much, especially when there's 24 games. 24 games is an awful lot. And if you want to watch them all, or you just want to watch, say, 3 or 4 at £13. So say you want to watch 4 of the games at £13, 52 quid. It's not that cheap when you think about it, especially when you're getting all 24 for 149, so essentially 3 times more. If they're charging £140 for 5 weeks, imagine how they charge for an NHL style subscription. I'm glad you brought that up, Matthew, because I've seen a lot of this today. Where people are saying that an NHL Game Centre subscription is only £75, I think, is $99. But what you've got to remember is the huge differences in the economies of scale, because the NHL has all the sponsorship, it has the financial backing, it has the broadcast deals. Therefore, the NHL can charge $99 or whatever it is, because they're going to get probably millions of subscribers. Let's be fair, the Elite League isn't. So when you're looking at it that way, that's why the Elite League cannot charge 100 quid or whatever. Yeah, the Ice League in what do the I don't know, what do the Ice League in Austria charge? I'm not sure. I thought I read that wrong and thought you put Australia, because I know they stream their games for free, but I'm not sure what Austria charge. I think they have 1 game a week, don't they, on their national broadcaster from memory. But I don't know what they charge. And it's a difficult one, because they've obviously got to balance up costs, because it's not going to be cheap to run this tournament. I know there's been government grants and government loans, but even so, they're going to be putting a lot of players up in a bubble. There's the ice time to pay for. So they've got to find a happy medium, which is going to be very, very difficult. But I think it's unfair to compare it to the NHL when the economies of scale are so different. You may as well compare it to Sky Sports, who again, millions of subscribers. I mean, I pay £15 a month for my Sky Sports package, which is £2 more than a single Elite League game. But again, it's economies of scale. National League football is £10 to £12 a stream for 5th tier English football. So an actual standalone stream is generally around the same price, regardless of what sport it is. Now, it'd be great if the Elite League could get a big sponsorship deal and they could have put it out for free or for less money, or they offered a game a week free to try and attract more fans. But no, obviously the sponsorship is not out there. Let's move on to the next question, which is still around the streaming, which comes from Sai, who is Domicum Wins at Domicum Wins on Twitter, and he says, "Why do we think the Elite League has held back announcing streaming costs for the playoffs? Could the games be televised, or is it a potential cash grab, given the relatively favourable in the ridiculous world of UK streaming regular season costs?" And Sarah Stevenson, Scabby Wabbit, asks thoughts on regarding the streaming costs. I mean, I've already answered that, really. I wouldn't be surprised if Free Sports or Premier Sports or somebody of that ilk was maybe in discussions to show the semi-finals and final, and therefore hopefully Free Sports, and then it'd be on free to air, and then there'd be nothing to pay for the final games. But I honestly don't know on that one. But with regards, sort of my last word on this is with regards to the streaming package, I think the package is a good value. The single price, not so much. I think £13 is too much, if I'm perfectly honest. So there we go. Banners on the wall, Anthony, who is on. And if you Want to know all about the National League and the Spring Cup and the North Cup? Anthony's What's Current stream will be live on Periscope at, I think it's 8 o'clock on Wednesday. I mean, if he's on, I'm sure he'll confirm that. Well worth a watch. Very, very enjoyable Periscope. What Anthony knows a great deal about the National League and the NIHL, so I highly recommend tuning into that on Wednesday at 8 o'clock on Periscope at Banners OTW to give him a follow on Twitter. So he says, how hard do you imagine I laughed when I saw the prices? I can imagine you did, because I know you weren't exactly pleased with the £12 prices for the Spring Cup streaming and the streaming series. And he says, is it acceptable to drink whiskey on the stream 2 weeks in a row? Absolutely it is. You go for it, mate, is what I would say to that. A question regarding the actual rosters now comes from Henry Appleby, who's a Panthers fan. He says, how impressed are you with Panthers signings compared to the other three teams? And Sarah Stevenson at Scabby Rabbit asks, thoughts about the signing so far and best signing so far? I think it's difficult to compare at the minute for the simple reason that until we see the full 8 inputs on each side, it can be quite difficult to make a comparison. Because if you look at it at the moment, Storm only have 2, Panthers have 4, Blaze have 5, Steelers have 4. One thing I have heard, I don't know how true this is, but I've heard it from a couple of sources, is that for each team that there are 2 tiers of imports at 2 different pay levels. So apparently, if this is true, 4 imports on the team get paid one rate and the other 4 imports get paid another rate. So I think that could explain some of the signings at the moment. So the Panthers, for example, Kevin Domingue and Talbot Tassi have come straight from the university. Mark Matheson, proven defenseman. So I think he will be in the top tier if it exists. John O'May, who was signed today, come from the ECHL, looks a reasonable point scorer at that level, so he will probably be in the higher level as well. Let's see what some of these comments are coming in. I think Sheffield have the most proven talent at the moment. I think they certainly did in their protected list. When you look, David Phillips, Jonathan Phillips, Robert Dowdley, and Kirk Brendan Connolly, that's an impressive protected list that the Steelers had. I think from their draft, probably not so much. So I actually think, looking at it now, all things considered, there's a good chance that all the teams will be pretty equal. I think they're going to be very close in quality. And the draft certainly helped with that. Are they socks on the radiator? No, they're masks. Just been in the wash. So they're on the radiator to get dry, ready for tomorrow. The socks are on the area, which isn't in camera shot, I'm glad to say. Is it acceptable to be bored with the negative comments about the price? I think it's fair price, and we're free to choose to watch or not. Absolutely. But I think you've also got to consider that there's a lot of people who've been furloughed. There's a lot of people who are out of work. There's a lot of people who've been made redundant. So perhaps disposable income isn't what it used to be for some people. And in that regard, they may not be able to afford it. And I think you've got to try and attract neutrals as well. Don't forget these spans of 6 teams who are not taking part, but probably want to see some hockey in the Elite League hockey. Does £13 a game price them out of that? I think it possibly does. There'll be some that will pay, absolutely, and there may be some that buy packages as well. But I think £13 a game against £10. I think £10 a game, you may think it's a tenner. I'll give it a go. At £13, it may put you off. It is the way I would see it. Just going back to the signings, though. So I think with what Henry was saying, how impressed am I with the Panthers signings? I think Panthers signings are reasonable. Mark Matheson's a great signing, a player I rate highly, a player I would have made Panthers Player of the Season over Sam Hare in 1920, because I just thought he was outstanding for the entire season. A player I rate very, very highly. And as for the rest, I think they're a bit wait and see because I've never seen them play. I don't know a lot about them, to be honest. So it's let's see how they do when they get here. Yeah, Matheson is a fantastic player. I fully agree. Fully agree. From what Sarah was saying, she's thoughts about the signings so far and best signings so far. I think there's been some reasonable signings. I think Shane Owen for Blaze is a very, very good pickup for them. A very good netminder. I think they've done really well to get hold of him. So I think that's probably the best overall out of all the import signings. But Kevin Schulze, who was signed by the Steelers on Saturday, I think he looks a decent player as well. Played at a very reasonable level, so he should be very good defenseman. So look forward to seeing how he plays. But I think it's unfair to compare until all 8 imports are signed by each team. So we will probably have that, I would think, by this time next week, because I believe training camps start on the 29th of March, which is next Monday. So I would expect rosters to be pretty much completed by this weekend if training camp is starting then. And then, of course, the week after, the games start. So not long left to get those rosters filled up. But I think it'd be very telling and be very interesting that if we do one of these next week, then I think then we can probably talk and look and compare the different rosters. I think it's a bit difficult at the minute. Hartlepool streaming is £10 has been hampered with problems. I'd heard that actually. I had heard that. Somebody did mention that. I work on the Notts County stream sometimes, so I was working on that on Saturday, which is why I wasn't commentating on the Lions game. The Notts County stream, and I'm not saying this just because I work at it, but it is regarded by some fans as one of the best in the National League, if not the best. But it's a 4-camera operation with a presenter, with a halftime show, with a pre and post game show, and it's got replays and it's filmed in HD and everything like that. And that's £12 a stream. But I suppose at the end of the day, you do get what you pay for. But yeah, it's not good if you're paying £10 for a stream and it's beset with problems. That's not good at all. What's that, Mark? Changing tack a bit. What are your thoughts on the comings and goings at EIHA and GB? GB losing women's coach is a loss to the program, for instance. I don't know about that. GB losing women's coach. Cheryl Smith left Great Britain. If not, I've not heard it. Not heard that at all. As regard the EIHA, I know that there's an election. I think isn't there 4 board members, which is a lot, but I think that's probably a fallout from unification not going through, to be perfectly honest. Because I know that the EIHA board were very much in favour of trying to get the EIHA were very much in favour of trying to get a one unifying body throughout the whole country, and it didn't go through. So I can't say I'm surprised that there's been fallout from that, but I guess we'll have to see who comes on the board and see if that can be on the agenda going forward, because I think it would be good for hockey in this country if there was just one unified national body. You thought Seth was excellent on Saturday. It's not bad. I'm actually quite flattered that I was replaced by Seth Bennett. I'll take that as a massive compliment. And of course, Seth would be excellent. You know, a very well thought of broadcaster. Works for the BBC, of course. So I've not had a chance to listen back to or watch the game back from Saturday. Heard it was very, very good. So yes, I will get have a watch of that when I can. With imports, I always look for stats in DEL2 or the ECHL as a similar skill levels to the Elite League. Interesting to see a few guys from Norway announced today. Yeah, I think that's a fair comparison, Ricky. DEL2 and ECHL. Maybe Austria as well, I think, as similar. But yeah, I think that's fair comparisons. It can give you a good idea of how they will perform at this level. However, you've got to remember that this is going to be different because it's only 8 imports as opposed to the 13, 14 we've been used to. So there may be a reduction in quality, but what I am expecting with looking at the rosters and seeing how close they are, what I am expecting is some close, really good games. I mean, just to go back to the Lions, the game from a couple of weeks ago against the Sheffield Scimitars that I commentated on was a phenomenal game of hockey. That's third tier. And that it was absolutely brilliant. I think if you could have, people I'm sure would have paid for that game. And if anybody's watching who watched that game, would you have paid for a game of that quality? Because it was just fantastic. And I think if you are going to get close, entertaining games, then all well and good. I mean, that Lions Scimitars game would certainly in probably the top 20 I've ever seen. I've been watching hockey over 30 years. Yeah, it was incredible. And considering that they've not played for a year either, that made it all the more better. Yeah, goals from the Lions games. But you know, you've got the likes of Jack Hopkins, who's top scorer, 16 years old, and coming in and scoring however many goals it is. I think he's on 7 or 8 goals now. I know he scored at the weekend. Incredible stuff. It's really great to see. It's nice to see the Lions being competitive after, let's be honest, a couple of seasons of taking some pretty heavy defeats. They've been massive, incredibly competitive in this tournament. And been involved in 4 incredibly close games, which is great to see. Craig Bonds, so the team we have so far, what do we need? 2D and 2 forward. I think all the hopes for the big boys coming back ain't looking like it happening. What do you think the players coming in? I have the faith. Well, the players have got something to prove. And I think this gives some players the chance to put themselves in the shop window, not just the imports, but the Brits as well. You know, the Brits are going to be there to try and impress. And I'm expecting them to take that opportunity with both hands. I mentioned Liam Stenton the last time I was on Periscope. And he was a player who massively impressed me when he was playing for Glasgow because he had that opportunity and he took it absolutely with both hands. And I'm expecting him to do exactly the same when he comes to the Panthers. Kieran Brown as well, a player I've admired for a long, long time, and I'm delighted to see him at the Panthers. But these other players, Ivan Antonov at Blaze, who I know Anthony has raved about, has been a stalwart in the National League, scored a lot of points, is now going to get his opportunity at Elite League level with the Blaze. Austin Mitchell-King, another player I really, really like. He's at the Blaze as well. So these players are going to really want to impress. So I think you're going to see some really good hard hockey in this tournament because there's going to be players who are going to be looking for contracts for next season. You've got Brits who are going to be looking to make the step up to Elite League level and are going to have the chance to impress. And I think that's what makes this tournament so exciting. And is what has made the build-up so exciting as well, which I really, really like about it. Mark O'Doherty watched 3 Lions games, and yes, I will pay to watch. Lots of goals and lots of passion, and even a fight under COVID. Yeah, Josh Heyman dropping the gloves. Yes, Josh Heyman dropping the gloves. I'm glad to see he got some ice time on Saturday. Fight was over pretty quickly, but fair play to him. This is a player who's 30 years old and has never played at this level before. So all power to him for doing that and getting out there and dropping the gloves and taking his opportunity. You've got to respect that. Sean, evening, Sean. Hope you're well. All is well. Very excited for the Elite Series, and yes, I will be tuning in, getting the 24 game package because it's good value for me and the wife. Ricky says, do we think we're going to get a lot more goals this year? We're thinking the quality between first and fourth lines might be a lot greater and put emphasis on the coach line choices. Difficult to say. Again, it's another difficult one to really comment on until the import rosters are complete. But I think you're probably going to have a standout first line and decent second line. And then I think the third and fourth lines are going to be very similar. But I'd hope that the coaches play a full four-line system and rotation to keep the players fresh, which they're going to have to do because they're going to be playing an awful lot of games in those 5 weeks. A lot of hockey is going to be played. So I would hope that the coaches do play the full four-line system. But again, that is another wait and see. Okay, let's move back to the questions. So David Jones, he says, after a year without hockey, do you think the fans need to chill out a bit before angry tweeting at the league? They're clearly working really hard to get this thing going, but all some people do is critique and criticise everything. People are always going to do that, and I think that's the world we're in with social media at the minute. Is there are always people who are going to critique and criticise because they've got the platform to do it and do it without consequences, really. I don't mind constructive criticism, and I like to think, even though I've criticised the price of the individual streams, I've been constructive with it, I'd like to think. But you do see certainly today, certain tweets, and Facebook's actually been worse for it, where it is just generally people screaming at a computer. And the thing is, you've got to remember, there's a human being who has to read that and has to deal with that. So, I know it's used a lot, but be kind. Just remember that there is a human being on the other side who has to read that. If you've got a complaint or you want to be critical, absolutely fine, but make it constructive. Don't just shout abuse at people. It's just not nice, and it's not worth it. And somebody has to deal with it, and that can't be nice for them either. So what I would say, I've got no problem with people critiquing and criticising as long as they do it constructively. But I have to give the league a massive amount of credit. I think social media-wise, they've done a great job in getting interest in this tournament. I thought the draft was absolutely fantastic and created a massive buzz around hockey, which was great to see. So from that respect, I think the league has done a very good job. They worked on the prices. They've got the prices out there. Yes, there are going to be criticism about that. There are people who are going to say that they're absolutely delighted with it. But I suppose what I'm saying is it's fine to criticise. Just don't be abusive and be constructive in your criticism. That's all I would really have to say on that. Let's have a look at the comments. Anthony Russell, a lot of hockey will be played, so yeah, I hope they rotate lines, but you have to imagine most of the guys will love 3 games in a week. It will keep them fit, if nothing else, but the one thing I do worry about with so many games in such a short space of time is if there's going to be injuries or the potential for injuries. So I hope everyone comes through unscathed, especially those who Pete Russell is thinking of taking to Latvia with him. Perhaps think before they type, would they say it to a player, coach's face? That's always the $1 million question mark. I would guess a lot of them wouldn't. See, there's a lot. I try to live by a mantra when I'm online, is that if I'm saying something or directing something to somebody, would I say it to them in real life? If I wouldn't say them in real life, then I wouldn't say it to them online. It's simple as that. Ricky Martin, what was your opinion on Bowser's first pick? I think someone proven like Hammond could have been more valuable than the extra import skater. I must admit, at the time, I was really surprised that we traded to get Bounce. But as time has gone on and the more I've thought about it, I actually think it's a good move. Because I think what you're going to have Jackson Whistle and Ben Bounce. They're both going to be vying for that number one starter spot, which is going to push both of them really hard. So I think we will hopefully see both of them at their best whenever they're in the net for the Panthers. So on that regard, I actually think it was a good move. I thought with protecting Jackson, I was happy with protecting Jackson Whistle and having him as the starter for the extra import skater, because I do honestly think in a tournament like this, the extra import out skater is probably going to be more valuable than an import netminder, is my opinion on that. We'll see what happens in the tournament itself, and if I'm proved completely wrong. But personally, that's the way I see it at the moment. But we shall see. We shall see when everybody hits the ice. Final question. So if you want to get any more questions in, just bang them into the comments box at the side. And it's from Sarah Stevenson, Scabby Rabbit again. And she says, should the teams in the Elite Series be using this opportunity to build a team for next season? Yes, and I think some of them will be. It was interesting when the draft was taking place, and a number of coaches who were saying, we're bringing this player in and we want to take a look at him. I'm thinking particularly Will Curling, the netminder who Panthers chose, and it was something that Guidi said, yeah, we want to take a look at this player. So, again, in that regard, I think a lot of teams will be looking at players, especially the younger players who are probably just knocking on the door of the Elite League. I'm thinking the likes of Mitchell King once again, Sam Jones, who I know was signed by the Steelers, but he's probably going to get a lot more ice time than he would have done normally in probably a 14 import system. Alex Graham will probably get a lot more ice time for the Steelers. The likes of Lee Stenton and Kieran Brown, who I've already mentioned. So a lot of younger players, a lot of players looking to prove themselves at this level. So yes, I do think that it will be an opportunity for teams to take a look at players and look at building for next season. Of course, what we don't know for next season is what the import level is going to be. So I don't think they'll keep it to 8, but I've got to admit, I wouldn't be surprised if they did. I could see it being more like 10. I would doubt very much it's going to be high as 13, 14 again, if I'm perfectly honest. But I think as long as we get entertaining, competitive games, then I don't think people will be too bothered. And the Brit draft caused a massive buzz, and I think people would like to see a few more British players playing on these rosters, and this gives them the opportunity to see what they can do. So I am very much looking forward to this tournament, very much. So Angus says, what do you think of your YouTube platform over Periscope? I don't know. I mean, that's up to you. It's up to all the people watching. I mean, do you prefer this to Periscope? I'm happy to do either, but I must admit this is a lot easier to set up, if I'm perfectly honest, and it means I can use different tools in my computer. So the video quality and sound is better. I thought it might be, but yeah, I can use my microphone on this, which I can't on Periscope. I have to use either the phone or the iPad's microphone, whereas this I can actually use my podcast microphone. So that's why the sound quality is probably better. So yeah, I don't know. I'll probably do another poll. This week and just say, which do you prefer? Now you've seen YouTube and Periscope, which do you prefer? And then take it from there. And if people prefer YouTube over Periscope, then we'll do it on YouTube. If they prefer Periscope, which will become Twitter Live, we'll do it on Twitter. So it's easy enough to do both, but I think this could be the way forward, personally, especially as it's got the live chat as well. Yeah, Mark, this is coming across very well. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate that. Ricky, does Mark Whistle get traded? I wouldn't mind a swap move. Not sure how much Sheffield need miles, for example. I don't think at this point. I don't think Whistle will get traded. I think if he'd have got traded, it would have happened in the past week. I think it's too late now. I don't think he'll get traded now. I think Tim Wallace and Gidi Set will look at using both Ben Bounds and Jackson Whistle in tandem. I'm trying to stop the light bouncing off my mouth. I can't help having no hair. I know all these people moaning about not getting a haircut in lockdown. Not been a problem for me. Angus, I missed the first part, but what do you think the final and semi costs will be? What I said on that was I hope that they're the same price if there is a cost. But I think with them not announcing it, they may be looking at trying to get it on television. I guess they're probably talking to Premier Sports or Free Sports to try and get it on TV, which is probably why they wouldn't have announced. Because I just think, why wouldn't they have announced the prices of those if that's not what they're doing? But that is a massive assumption on my part. I understand it. Okay, any further questions before I go? What I will ask you to do is, if you could share the link out when you get off on your social medias, I would appreciate that very much, because obviously it will just go to a normal YouTube video once this is finished, so it will be available to watch again. So anybody who hasn't seen it will be able to watch it. So could the normal playoff semis be best of 3 over? Also, no, because I think the playoff weekend is a massive cash cow for the Elite League, and I can't see them getting that. Whether they make the quarterfinals like a series, I don't know. It's whether they could get the ice time. But I can't imagine it'd be too difficult to make the quarterfinals a best of 3 series to get to the final 4. So, have I seen much NHL on BT? No, I haven't got a BT Sport. I assume you mean BT Sport by putting BY Sports. I'm not Andrew, because I haven't got a BT Sport subscription. But I do watch NHL on Free Sports when it's on, when they show the matinee games, and then the odd game on Premier Sports. But they tend to be on a little too late for me, unfortunately. But I try to watch as much as I can. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining me, because I know that this is a new medium. What I would like is if you've got any comments about YouTube over Periscope, or just give me any feedback you can on Twitter, at Jono Bullard on Twitter. I really, really appreciate what you thought, whether you thought it was bad, what was good, what was bad. And, I can make a decision then, based on all the information on what's better for everybody to watch as well. See you on Wednesday for the Banners on the Wall 10th birthday. Yes, don't miss that, 8 p.m. on Wednesday. So all the National League and Spring Cup and North Cup and South Cup chat with Anthony. Do not miss that. 8 p.m. on Wednesday at Banners OTW on Twitter. Well reminded on the podcast, Ricky. Yes, we will be regularly doing the Cats Whiskers podcast, at least one a week, once the tournament starts, and we will be doing a preview podcast as well. So that is at Cats Whiskers TV on Twitter to find out when we're podcasting and when the podcasts go live. So keep an eye out for that. You haven't come across these chats before. I did them regularly on Periscope, usually weekly during the hockey season. Not so much while nothing's been happening, but since this tournament was announced, they've become a bit more regular again. So yes, I will be doing them, I would think, at least weekly during the tournament as well as the Cats Whiskers podcast. All right, thank you everyone for watching. Really appreciate your company this evening. Take care, stay safe, and I will see you again soon. Until then, bye-bye.